Hey friends, happy Thursday. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day. I'm obviously coming to you from my backyard. It is definitely not as cool as Pastor Stephanie's backyard since I don't have a pool or anything else, but for my 2-year-old, this is the coolest place ever. He calls it the park, and he's got this big giant toy that I got to build for him last month during our quarantine fun. And today we're going to talk about grace, and this big toy behind me is kind of what spurred all of that. And most of you guys have probably put something together in your lives to some degree or another with whatever set of directions. And for me, this is when I put this together, I had probably the best sets of directions that I've ever seen, both through the paper direction, and then it came with an app. This app has digital animated directions and everything. You can put it in 3D and spin it around. And so again, this was the best set of directions I've ever used to put anything together. Yet, I still managed to do some things not quite well. I made some mistakes on it, and you know, all I could think about after the 10, 12 hours, 14 hours that I spent putting it together, had some help as well, obviously, were the mistakes that I made. Not the hundreds of things that I did right, not the fact that it's solid and stable and anchored down and everything else, but just the mistakes that I made, and I was really, really down about that, and that's all I could focus on. And my son, and he came out and he just lit up with joy. He thought this was the coolest thing ever, and that he could play on it. He could play at the park, because we haven't been able to go to the park, and that's something that he really likes. And he has his own personal Cooper Park here in the backyard, and that just really reminded me that I needed to show myself some grace. That yes, I messed up some things. I had some stuff that I put on backwards, and I had to drill some extra holes, and call my father-in-law to borrow a bigger drill bit because I'd put something on upside down. I just needed to drill another hole. So there's 1 or 2 holes that probably shouldn't be there, but again, it's all functional and it all works, and I needed to just give myself some grace and cut myself some slack. And that it just reminded me, as Christians, we really try to do our best and do a good job to show others grace, but we don't always do the best of job showing that same grace to ourselves. And so for me, all of this work that I'd spent to put it together, I just dwelled on the 8 or 9 things that I didn't do right. And please, if you're watching and you see some things on here that aren't great that I probably didn't notice, don't comment below. I'm kidding. Nobody would ever do that, because y'all are really nice people and show grace. But that just reminded me that we needed to show grace for ourselves, and that's something that I know all of us struggle with doing. And as a musician, that's something that I really struggle with doing. I'll play a concerto or a jazz chart or whatever else, and I'll play hundreds of notes, if not thousands of notes and rhythms, and I mean, if I miss 10 of them, that's all I'm going to really focus on. Not all of the things that I did well, but all of the things that I messed up. And I think as people, we tend to do that, both in things that we do like music or cooking or putting things together or home improvement projects, or just our daily lives, that we focus on all of our mistakes, all of our flaws, all of our failures, versus all of those good qualities that we have, all of those things that we do right, all of those things that we do well, and the love that others show for us. And in the Bible, in 2 Corinthians, it talks about this in chapter 12, verse 9. But he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." And friends, this shows us that we're loved unconditionally by our Savior. Because of our flaws, in spite of our flaws, regardless, that love is unconditional from Jesus. And we need to show that same unconditional love for ourselves, because we are who we are, not just because of our great things that we do, but because of the things that we don't always do as well. If we're not the best cook, if we're not always the handiest with tools, if we don't know anything about cars, that doesn't change who we are at our core, and our character and our passion and everything else. And we need to give ourselves just a little bit of wiggle room and love ourselves even despite all of this. Now, please don't misread me. Please don't think that I'm saying, oh, just be perfect how you are and don't ever strive for improvement. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that by only focusing on our flaws and our failures, it can take us to a deep, dark place that we don't need to be. And that's how doubt creeps in, and that's a way for us to stop loving ourselves, and can cause, you know, things to happen in our relationships and our families, and for us to turn away even from the love of Christ, because that we stop loving ourselves. And friends, just know that none of us are perfect. There's a quote I heard that I have no idea where it came from, but we're perfectly imperfect. That yes, we're made in the image and likeness of God, but we're each made uniquely, and a lot of our uniqueness is our imperfections and our flaws. And we do a great job extending grace to others, but it's important that we extend that grace to ourselves, because ultimately we can do something imperfectly that still turns out really, really well. Whether it's building something or playing something or cooking something or anything else. So I hope that as we move forward, that we can remember to love ourselves, remember to give ourselves the same grace that we give to others, keep striving to improve, but celebrate your successes, not just the things that you don't do well, that maybe you accidentally use some words that you didn't want to if once traffic resumes. But remember that we're not perfect, and we're striving to improve. And maybe the next time we don't use those words, and pick any other situation. So, friends, I hope that all of you have a great day. Remember to give yourself some grace, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon.